When your wife says, "I love you" before bed and then takes a shower at 2 in the morning, that's not romance, that's a reason to start thinking. I always believed our life in Fontana had turned out perfectly. 7 years ago, Melinda and I exchanged vows in a small chapel, and from that day forward, I thought I knew this woman inside and out. She organized festivals throughout California while I was searching for myself. After being laid off from my last job a year ago, I decided to take a break, figure out what comes next. Melinda was supportive, saying we'd manage. We managed. We had 2 children, 9-year-old Ethan and 6-year-old Emma. I took care of them while my wife built her career. Everything changed that September evening. Melinda returned from another festival in Fort Lauderdale. She looked tired but satisfied. She talked about the event's success, new partners, prospects. I was cooking dinner, the kids were doing homework. An ordinary weekday evening. "I need to rest," she said, placing her phone on the charger near the kitchen counter. "My head is splitting." I nodded, stirring the sauce. Melinda went upstairs. A few minutes later, I heard the sound of the shower. And then her phone rang. I wasn't going to answer. Really. But the screen lit up and I saw the name, Sam. Work issues. Strange, since it was 9 in the evening. I just wanted to decline the call but accidentally pressed the green button and then, the speaker icon. "Mally, baby," a male voice came through, soft and intimate. "I missed you. When can we see each other again?" This week in Fort was incredible. I froze. The kids were discussing something in the dining room, laughing. Water was running upstairs. And that voice kept pouring from the phone. "Remember that hotel by the ocean? I can still smell your hair." God, how I dropped the call. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so loud I thought the kids would hear it. The following week I said nothing. I observed. Melinda behaved as always, a caring mother, a loving partner. But now I noticed details. How she smiled at her phone. How she stepped into another room for work calls. How she suddenly decided to go to another festival in Fort Lauderdale in 2 weeks. I created a fake social media profile. Found this Sam. Travel curator, organizes exclusive tours for wealthy clients. 42 years old, divorced, lives in Fort Lauderdale. In photos with Melinda, he was at the same music festival she had organized 6 months ago. 6 months. This had been going on for 6 months. One morning, while Melinda was in the shower, I checked her phone. I knew the code, Emma's birthday. The messages were deleted, but I found photos in cloud storage. Them together. Smiling. Kissing. My breath caught. And then I found a receipt. A clinic in Santa Monica. Procedure. Date, 3 months ago. I sat on the bedroom floor, pressing the phone to my chest. She had been pregnant. With his child. And she had gotten rid of it. That evening I asked, "Mally, is there something important we need to talk about?" She looked up from her laptop. "About what? Maybe about Sam?" She went pale. The true face always shows in such moments. "Hector, How long? What? How long has this been going on?" The pause seemed eternal. 6 months. But it's not what you think. You were pregnant. Her eyes widened. How did you? Doesn't matter. Was it his child? A nod. Barely noticeable. Why didn't you tell me? Because it wouldn't have changed anything, Hector. I love you. I love our family. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Sam is just adrenaline. Festivals, travels, he showed me a world I hadn't seen in years. But that's not reality. Reality is you, the kids, our home. You had an abortion so I wouldn't find out. To save our family. I laughed. Dryly, bitterly. You destroyed a life to save our life. See the irony? The following days we talked. A lot. Melinda cried, begged, promised to end the relationship with Sam. She said he meant nothing, that it was an escape from routine, from the feeling that life was passing her by. You became different, she confessed. After the layoff you withdrew. Stopped dreaming, planning. Just existed. And I wanted to live. Maybe she was right. Maybe I really had immersed myself in parenthood and household chores, forgetting about myself. But that didn't justify betrayal. I hired a lawyer. Didn't tell Melinda. Just started preparing. And then I called Sam. Hello. Hi, Sam. My name is Hector. I'm Melinda's husband. Silence. Look, man, I didn't know that. You're lying. You knew. But that doesn't matter anymore. I want to meet. Talk man to man. We met at a cafe by the ocean. Sam turned out to be a tall, self-assured man with a salesman's smile. Exactly the kind of person I had imagined. Look, he began, I'm really sorry. Melinda said that you two were. In the process of divorce? She told you that? He hesitated. Well, not exactly like that, but she hinted that everything was complicated. How many times did you see each other? Dude, I'm not going to. How many? He sighed. 7, maybe 8. Every time she came to Fort for work. Did you know about the pregnancy? Sam grimaced. I knew. I wanted her to keep the baby. Offered support. But she said, it's impossible. That she already has a family, children, obligations. Do you love her? The question surprised him. Honestly? I don't know. She's cool. Interesting. Fun to be with. But love? We didn't talk about the future. And her? Does she love you? I don't think so. He stared at his coffee cup. I'm like an escape for her. Like a parallel reality where she's not a mom and wife, but just Melinda. Young, free. I nodded. Thanks for being honest. What are you going to do? What needs to be done? Returning home, I called Melinda into the living room. The kids were already asleep. I talked to Sam. She went pale. Hector. He's an interesting guy. Says you told him about us. About how we've grown apart. That's true. And that you want to stay with me for the kids. Also true. But actually you don't love me or him. She started crying. I do love you. Just differently. Not like before. We've changed, Hector. Both of us. Agreed. That's why I want a divorce. No. Please. We can get through this. Therapy, counseling. Mally, you carried another man's child and killed it so I wouldn't find out. Therapy won't help here. The following months were hell. Documents, meetings with lawyers, discussions about child custody. Melinda fought, tried to convince me to stay. But something broke in me that night with the phone call. Ethan and Emma took it hard. I tried to explain that mom and dad just couldn't be together anymore, but kids aren't stupid. They felt the tension. I couldn't believe she said this to me straight to my face. When she blamed me for not being the man she married anymore, for letting myself go, for not having ambitions. As if her betrayal was somehow my fault. As if I had pushed her into another man's arms by simply being there for our children while she chased her dreams. The divorce proceedings dragged on. Melinda's lawyer tried every angle, claiming I was unemployed and therefore unfit to have primary custody, suggesting I had been emotionally absent, painting a picture of a husband who had given up on life. But my lawyer was prepared. We had documentation of everything. My active involvement in the kids' lives, school records showing I was the parent at every meeting, every event, every doctor's appointment. During one particularly brutal mediation session, Melinda's mask slipped completely. You know what your problem is, Hector? She hissed across the table. You made me feel like I was drowning. Every day the same routine. Wake up, organize an event, come home to you sitting on the couch, the kids running wild. I needed air. I needed to feel alive. So you found it in Fort Lauderdale hotel rooms? I replied calmly. Her lawyer placed a hand on her arm, but she shook it off. Yes, I did. And it was wonderful. Sam made me feel like I was 25 again. Like anything was possible. Like I wasn't just a mom and a wife but a woman with desires and dreams. That was the moment I realized, there's no going back. I had spent weeks wondering if we could salvage something, if there was a path to forgiveness. But hearing her romanticize the affair, seeing no real remorse, only justification, that sealed it. My lawyer leaned forward. Mrs. Ramirez, are you saying you have no regrets about the affair? Melinda hesitated, suddenly aware of how her words sounded in a legal setting. I regret hurting Hector. But I don't regret finding myself again. And the pregnancy termination? That was a private medical decision. Made while married to my client, regarding another man's child without his knowledge. She had no response to that. The kids started therapy. Emma was too young to fully understand, but Ethan, he was old enough to sense something terrible had happened, even if he didn't know the details. He became withdrawn, his grades slipped. One night, I found him crying in his room. Dad, why doesn't Mom live with us anymore? I sat on his bed, choosing my words carefully. Sometimes adults make mistakes, buddy. And sometimes those mistakes are so big that things can't go back to the way they were. Did you make a mistake? I don't think so. But your mom and I, we wanted different things. And that's nobody's fault, really. It's just life. Does Mom still love us? Of course she does. She loves you and Emma more than anything. This is between me and her, not about you two. But that was only half the truth. Because Melinda's choice to continue the affair, to terminate the pregnancy, to lie for 6 months, those choices affected everyone. The kids felt it even if they couldn't articulate it. Melinda made another choice that surprised everyone. 3 weeks before the divorce was finalized, she announced she was moving to Fort Lauderdale. To be with Sam. To explore what could be, as she put it. My lawyer immediately filed for primary custody. Melinda's decision to move across the country, away from her children, didn't look good. But she was their mother, and the court was reluctant to completely sever that bond. We reached an agreement. I would have primary custody, she could have the kids for extended periods during summer and holidays, provided she covered travel costs. The day she left was strange. Melinda hugged the kids for a long time, crying, promising to video call every night. Ethan stood stiff in her embrace. Emma clung to her, not understanding why Mommy was leaving. You don't have to do this, I told her quietly while the kids were getting their backpacks for school. Yes, I do. I need to know if this is real. What if it's not? She smiled sadly. Then I'll figure it out. I always do. She didn't even suspect that I already knew everything. Before she left, I had contacted Sam again, this time through a mutual acquaintance in the festival industry. Planted a seed of doubt. Mentioned casually that Melinda had a pattern of running away when things got tough, that she thrived on novelty but crumbled under routine. That she had been on antidepressants for 2 years, something she apparently never told Sam. I wasn't lying. Those were all facts. But the way I presented them, the timing, it was calculated. I wanted him to see her differently. To question whether the fantasy they'd built could survive reality. Life settled into a new rhythm. I woke the kids, made breakfast, got them to school. I had found a job working remotely for a company that organized virtual events. Decent pay, flexible hours, allowed me to be present for Ethan and Emma. We did homework together, cooked dinner together, watched movies on weekends. Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. Melinda called regularly at first. Then every few days. Then weekly. The kids noticed. Mom forgot to call again, Emma said one night, her voice small. She's probably busy, sweetie. She'll call tomorrow. But I knew better. I knew because I had friends in Fort Lauderdale now, people in the festival circuit who kept me updated. Melinda and Sam were struggling. The romance was fading. Reality was setting in. She had moved into his condo, but they fought constantly. She wanted to plan for the future, talk about her kids, maybe have Sam meet them. He wanted to keep things light, fun, uncomplicated. He liked the idea of Melinda, the exciting festival organizer who brought energy and passion. He didn't like the reality of Melinda, a mother of 2 with baggage and responsibilities. For months after she left, Melinda called me. Late at night. Hector. What's wrong? Can we talk? We're talking. I mean really talk. Not about the kids or logistics. About everything. I sighed. What do you want to say, Melinda? I think I made a mistake. Moving to Fort Lauderdale? All of it. So. The affair. Leaving. You think? I know. I see it now. What I had, what I threw away. You were a good husband, Hector. A good father. And I convinced myself you weren't enough because I wasn't enough for myself. What happened with Sam? She laughed bitterly. He proposed we take a break. Said he needs space. Apparently, real life isn't as sexy as hotel rendezvous. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Are you? Really? I'm sorry you're hurting. I'm not sorry we're divorced. Silence. Can I come back? To Fontana? To us. To try again. This was what I'd been waiting for. The moment when she'd realize what she'd lost. When she'd come crawling back, expecting forgiveness. No, I said simply. What? No, Melinda. You can't come back. There is no us anymore. But we have children together. We have history. We do. And they'll always connect us. But you and me? We're done. You made your choice. People make mistakes. They do. And they live with consequences. You wanted freedom, excitement, a life without me holding you back. You got it. Now you want to come back because it didn't work out? That's not how this works. You're punishing me. No, I'm protecting myself. And our kids. They've been through enough. I'm not letting you come back into their lives just to leave again when the next exciting opportunity comes along. And what comes next is worth hearing. Because this is where my revenge truly began. Not with lawyers or custody battles, but with something far more strategic. I had spent months building a new life. Not just for me and the kids, but professionally. The remote job was just the beginning. I had started consulting for event companies, using everything I'd learned from watching Melinda work. I understood the industry, the contacts, the strategies. And I was good at it. Within 6 months, I had built enough of a reputation that I started getting invitations to industry conferences. And that's where I encountered Melinda's boss, Richard Chin, the CEO of the company she worked for. We had a conversation over drinks. He complained about high turnover, unreliable organizers, people who promised the world but disappeared when things got tough. I might know someone reliable, I said casually. Me. I didn't tell him about Melinda right away. I let my work speak for itself. I took on a small project, then a bigger one. I was meticulous, creative, reliable, everything he needed. 3 months later, Richard offered me a full-time position. Senior Event Coordinator. Better title than Melinda ever had. Better pay too. There's one thing, I said. Melinda Ramirez. She works for you. Worked. She's in our Fort Lauderdale office now. Honestly, her performance has declined. Why? She's my ex-wife. Richard's eyebrows rose. Will that be a problem? Not for me. But you should know, she's been struggling personally. Might affect her work. Just a heads up. He nodded slowly, filing away that information. I didn't sabotage Melinda directly. I didn't need to. I just excelled. Every event I organized was flawless. Clients loved me. My reputation grew. And Melinda's, still dealing with her crumbling relationship and distance from her kids, continued to slip. 6 months after I started, Richard called me into his office. We're restructuring. Consolidating the Fort Lauderdale office with the main office here. I'm offering you director of events. You'd oversee the entire department. What about the current director? Retiring. And between you and me, Melinda's position is being eliminated. Budget cuts. Nothing personal. Everything was personal. But I didn't say that. I'll take it. When Melinda found out, she called me immediately. Did you know? About what? Don't play dumb, Hector. About my job. About the restructuring. I knew there were changes coming. I didn't know it would affect you specifically. Liar. You planned this. You took my career just like you took the kids. I didn't take anything, Melinda. You gave it all away. I just picked up the pieces. She hung up on me. And then, it gets worse. Because Melinda's unraveling wasn't over. Sam officially ended things 2 weeks after she lost her job. She moved back to California but not to Fontana. She rented a small apartment in San Diego, took a lower-level position with a different company, started rebuilding. She asked to see the kids more often. I agreed within reason. They needed their mother regardless of what she'd done to me. But here's what Melinda didn't know. Every conversation we had, every arrangement we made, I documented meticulously. Times, dates, agreements. When she missed video calls. When she rescheduled visits. When she forgot Ethan's birthday because she was dealing with things. I wasn't gathering evidence for court. The divorce was final, custody was settled. I was gathering evidence for the kids. For when they were older and asked questions. So they could see in black and white who was there and who wasn't. That's the revenge nobody talks about. Not dramatic confrontations or legal battles. Just living well. Being present. Letting someone's own choices speak for themselves. The finale of this story surprised even me. A year after the divorce, I met someone. Anna worked in marketing for one of my client companies. She was kind, funny, stable. She had no interest in drama or chaos. She met my kids slowly, carefully, never trying to replace their mother. Ethan and Emma liked her. That was enough. Melinda found out through the kids. Emma mentioned Dad's friend Anna during a video call. You're dating someone? Melinda called me that night, her voice tight. I am. Already? It's only been a year. 14 months, actually. And yes, I'm ready to move forward with my life. What about the kids? Don't they need stability? They have stability. With me. Anna is just someone I'm seeing. She's not moving in, we're not getting married. But yes, I'm allowed to date, Melinda. It feels too soon. For you, maybe. You moved on while we were still married, remember? That silenced her. Anna and I took things slowly. She understood the complications, the kids, the baggage. She never pushed for more than I could give. Meanwhile, Melinda cycled through relationships. A musician she met at a concert. A tech entrepreneur from a networking event. None lasted more than a few months. Why does Mom have a new boyfriend every time we visit? Ethan asked me one day, now 11 and more perceptive. Because she's still figuring out what she wants, I answered honestly. Some people take longer than others. Do you know what you want? I looked at my son, so serious for his age. I want you and your sister to be happy and healthy. I want to be good at my job. I want to maybe someday have a partner who fits into our life. But mostly, I want peace. And I have that now. He nodded, processing. I think I want that too. The real conclusion came 2 years after the divorce. Melinda reached out, asking to meet in person when she was in town to see the kids. We met at the same park where we talked after her return from Fort Lauderdale. She looked different. Not older but changed. More grounded maybe. Less of the frantic energy that had defined her during the affair. I wanted to apologize, she said. Properly. Not over the phone. For what, specifically? All of it. The affair. The lies. Leaving the kids. Blaming you. I was so convinced that my unhappiness was your fault, that if I just changed my circumstances, everything would be better. But I took my problems with me to Fort Lauderdale. And they were still there in San Diego. Because they were never about location or circumstances. They were about me. I appreciate you saying that. Do you forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't forgive you for the affair or the lies. But I forgive you for being human. For making mistakes. For not being perfect. We all mess up. You just messed up bigger than most. She smiled sadly. That's fair. How are you doing? Really? Better. I'm in therapy. Working on myself. Trying to be a better mom even from a distance. I got promoted at my new company. Small steps. That's good. The kids need you to be stable. I know. And Hector? You were right. About all of it. You deserved better than what I gave you. We sat in silence for a while, watching people jog past, kids playing on the playground. This wasn't closure exactly. You don't get neat endings in real life. But it was something. Acknowledgement. Understanding. Are you happy? She asked finally. Most days, yeah. I am. I'm glad. You deserve it. So do you, Melinda. I hope you find it. And I meant it. Not because I had forgiven everything but because holding on to anger only poisoned me. She had already lost so much. Her family, her career momentum, years of her children's lives she could never get back. That was punishment enough. My revenge wasn't destroying her. It was building something better without her. It was showing our kids that you can survive betrayal and come out stronger. It was proving that happiness doesn't require permission or perfect circumstances. It's just a choice you make every day. Ethan graduated middle school last month. He wants to be an engineer. Emma is obsessed with marine biology. Anna and I are talking about moving in together, slowly blending our lives. Melinda has a steady boyfriend now, someone she met through work. He's good with the kids during their visits. She's learning to be present rather than perfect. We co-parent effectively, if not always easily. There's still tension sometimes, disagreements about schedules or parenting choices. But we manage. For the kids. Because that's what you do when you're an adult. You manage. You do the hard work of living with consequences and making the best of what remains. I look back on that night when her phone rang, when Sam's voice poured through the speaker, and I see it differently now. Not as the night my marriage ended, but as the night my real life began. The life where I'm not defined by someone else's choices. Where I'm not waiting for someone else to decide I'm enough. I'm enough because I say so. Because I show up. Because I do the work. And that's the best revenge of all. Living well, loving my kids, building a life I'm proud of. Melinda lost more than a marriage. She lost trust in her own judgment, years with her children, career momentum, and the safety of a stable home. She gained perspective eventually, but the cost was high. And me? I gained something unexpected. Myself. The person I was before I defined myself through marriage and parenthood. The person who has ambitions and interests and worth beyond being someone's husband or someone's father. I'm all of those things now, co-parent, partner to Anna, successful in my career, present for my kids. But I'm also just Hector. And that's enough. Last week, Emma asked me a question while we were cooking dinner together. Dad, do you still love Mom? I thought carefully before answering. I love who she was. I love what we created together, you and your brother. But the person she is now? I don't know her well enough to love her. And that's okay. We're different people than we were 7 years ago. That's just life. Do you think you'll marry Anna? Maybe. If it feels right. But there's no rush. We're happy as we are. Good. I like her. But I don't want things to change too fast. They won't, kiddo. I promise. And I meant it. Because I learned the hard way that rushing, forcing, expecting things to stay the same when they're meant to evolve, that's how you lose everything. Better to move slowly, intentionally, with eyes wide open. That's my life now. Intentional. Present. Honest. Melinda's betrayal could have destroyed me. Maybe it did for a while. But from that destruction came something new. Something stronger. And yeah, there's satisfaction in knowing that while she's still figuring things out, I already have. While she's wondering what went wrong, I'm building what comes next. That's not revenge in the traditional sense. It's better. It's success. It's peace. It's living well. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Take what life gives us, the good and the terrible, and build something meaningful from it. My marriage ended. My family split. My heart broke. But I didn't. And that makes all the difference. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.